everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Annassa. So, it's a beautiful day out there. Let's begin with our meditation. So, take a deep breath, bring your attention inside, and let's go to the abdominal chakra. Take your attention there. And as you breathe into that center, pay attention to the space in between the breaths. And allow yourself to really feel into that space. And you may feel some expansion, or you may feel some contraction. It depends on which phase you're in. Expansion and contraction alternate. And just feel into that center, in the space between the inhale and the exhale, and the space between the exhale and the inhale. And when you're ready, gently allow your attention to drop to the tip of the tailbone. Again, feel and feel and feel into the space between the breaths. And it's not as though you're trying to make something happen. Just allow whatever's happening to happen. And you witness it with a kind of curiosity. That childlike sense of curiosity and wonder at the magic that exists within each one of us. And when you're ready, drop your attention down to the garden star chakra, which is under the earth. And again, feel into the space between the breaths. And this is where we water our dream of connection with the infinite. Or we could say our commitment to our connection with the infinite. And when you're ready, gently allow your attention to come up to your heart center, acknowledging as you pass through your grounding center just below your belly button. And you always hold awareness of your grounding center no matter where you are, no matter where your attention is in your energetic being. So as you come into your heart center in the middle of your chest, breathe into that center and feel into the space between the breaths. Gently allow your attention to come up to the throat center. And you can swallow there to release any restriction you might feel. And again, drop your attention between the breaths. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to rise to the middle of your head, behind and between your eyebrows, into the third eye. Continuing to allow yourself to focus on the space between the breaths. When you're ready, gently allow your attention to rise to the top of your head, the location of the 1,000-petaled lotus. Again, feel into the space between the breaths. And when you're ready, allow your attention to go up to the top of your aura. If you put your hands in a circle, a halo around your head, where your fingers touch is the location. And this is called the soul star chakra. This is where we connect with heaven, with the all of the all that is. Again, being aware of your grounding center. In the soul star chakra, take your attention between the breaths. And now, holding your attention in the soul star chakra and in the energy center below your belly button, extend your attention down to the garden star chakra and begin to experience yourself as a field of rainbow light. And so you can begin to circulate your attention from top to bottom and bottom to top, so that you're experiencing yourself as an energy field that is in motion. And just feel for that flow. Again, allowing yourself to continue to focus on the space between the breaths, at the top and the bottom of your energetic body. Practice this for a few minutes. As you feel ready, gently bring your attention back and we'll begin our conversation. So, in case you haven't noticed, we're going to call this period of time what it is. It's humanity's dark night of the soul. All these things are happening that make us wonder what could happen next. And yet here we are with this precious time to really be inside of ourselves and just feel. And even though many of our lives have been disrupted beyond recognition, really, we have been granted the gift of quiet time to actually go inside and experience ourselves in a different way in the midst of this chaos. And that's a huge gift. And it's actually part of the whole evolutionary process, because those of us who are capable of centering ourselves and bringing in the light and holding to the light are actually the vanguard of the human collective movement from third dimensional awareness to fifth dimensional awareness, which we can talk about more concretely as from awareness of disharmony to living from harmony. And so it's very, very important. It's actually critical in this time that no matter what happens, no matter what atrocities we witness or what we hear about or what happens in the natural world or what happens around us politically, socially, morally, all of these things cannot distract us from holding the light. Because every time we experience any distraction from holding the light, there's that much less light. And so we are the light that is mobilizing this change. And we are not alone. Our small number on this call is just those of us who are in this particular frequency. There are millions of people who are focusing on the light. And the more we focus on the light, the more the darkness gets afraid that it's going to lose its hold over us. And so what we experience as fear of darkness is actually us being empathic of the fear that darkness is experiencing as the light is overwhelming it. Now take that in for a second. Darkness knows that it's losing the battle against the light. And so it's very afraid of what's going to happen when it loses. And so we as empaths are feeling that fear. And so we think we're afraid of the dark, but we're not afraid of the dark. We've been facing the darkness in ourselves for decades. We've been doing our work. We've been cultivating through that darkness and bringing it to light in ourselves. And so when we feel that fear, we think it's more of our own. We're empaths. We are feeling the fear of the darkness at coming into the light. So whenever we feel fear, we can't let it distract us from the light that we are, that we know we are. And so as we focus on that light, it's also very important that we celebrate the dawning of the light. Because in this celebration, this is how abundance happens. We don't wait for it to manifest outside of us before we engage it. That's too late. We have to celebrate it like the Native Americans would do the rain dance to bring the rain. They knew the rain was coming. They just wanted to celebrate it, right? So in this celebration of the appearance of the rain before the rain comes, you actually experience the abundance of the rain, and the rain comes. In the same way as we experience the light in ourselves, we celebrate the arrival of the light into the whole as though it has already occurred, because we know it's coming, because we experience it in ourselves. And so we expand that light experience of ourselves and share it with every single person that we meet. And it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We expand it inside of ourselves so that our sphere of influence expands. And so that whatever our sphere of influence is, it also brings the light to others. And we do it in our physical world. We participate in everything with flow, and we are light beings. And we hold to that no matter what happens around us. Because what's happening around us is just the darkness trying to distract us from ourselves. And when we understand that, we can be grounded. We can keep our attention right below our belly. We're completely connected to the earth. We don't have to go anywhere to get the light. We are the light. We're completely connected to it. We feel it all the way below our feet. We ground every day with our feet in the dirt somehow. And we practice expanding ourselves, but never leaving. We stay completely connected. We are of the earth. Our bodies are made of the earth, made of materials from the earth. But we are light beings, and we cultivate that rainbow light in our body. We expand that light, never leaving our body, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We share it with everyone we meet, and we hold with true confidence that what we are doing is magnetizing the light field as it expands. And we do not get involved in the polarity that's demonstrating itself in front of us, because whatever side we're on, we're still in polarity. And the infinite, what we're made of, is beyond all polarity. So we don't take a stand except in the light. And as we hold to the light, all polarity will be brought into stillness. It's very much in chaos right now, if you haven't noticed. It will all be brought into stillness. It will completely reorganize. And then something brand new, full of magic, mystery, and miracle will begin to express itself. As in the microcosm of the human body, so in the macrocosm of the human collective, and the entire earth and the universe and the multiverse is participating in this reorganization. We could not be less alone in this moment. We welcome your questions. Can you unmute her?
Yes. Okay.
There we go.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Annassa. So wonderful to see you.
It's completely mutual.
So my question is this. When you talk about the dark, are you saying that there is such a thing as evil in this world?
Well, we'll say it like this. There is obviously such a thing as polarity. Evil only exists in relationship to good. If you step outside the polarity, as you know from homeopathy, there's all these axes of polarity. If you stay in the center, is the polarity still there? Well, yes, but it changes. You know, you can relate to it. But when you're in the center, the polarity is no longer pulling you in one direction or the other. It's our attachment that creates the movement toward the polarity. But if you stay in the center, if you stay in the light, then yes, the polarity exists, but you understand that everything that we're speaking about, we're using linear language because our language is linear. We don't have quantum language. We will, but we don't now. And so we're stuck with this linear language that the polarity is not two things. The polarity is a field. And when we are in the center of that field in stillness, then the polarity doesn't exactly exist in the same way. You can think of it as sort of a kind of gravitational pull, but that will interlock with our attachment and try to pull us in that direction. But if we center ourselves and we are committed to the light, then we are not able to be magnetized by the polarity, which is actually, the polarity is manifesting in a different field than our awareness. If we are grounded in awareness itself, there is no polarity. That's the simplest way to say it.
Okay, I've always been confused by the whole idea that we are all one and we are all God, you know, and that there is something evil out there. How could that be if we are all in
It
the
only exists in relationship to good. Polarity doesn't, in the center, there's no polarity.
Okay, thank you.
And polarity is also linear. We're reviewing that statement. We may change that. It's very difficult because we live in the quantum world and we're trying to explain to you concepts that cannot really be reduced to linear language. And so it's frustrating because language can't hold what we're trying to communicate. For example, when we say love, peace, joy, and gratitude, and that which is beyond, we are using the experiential emotions that people have to point to the freedom within oneself to release into the whole, into the experience of the whole, which of course is beyond any language. But this is the unity of the whole in this beyond field, and what evil could possibly exist there. And at the same time, what good could exist there? There is only total being.
So what field do the animals live in?
The animals live in love. The animals never lose their sense of union with the whole. They never lose that. That's why we're drawn to having them in our environment, because, you know, for the most part, they just love. They don't ever leave that. You know, if you ever notice how an animal dies, if it's left by it on its own to die, they don't resist death. They're full of love. They don't understand, you know, they don't have any disconnect. It's only humans who feel that sense of separation. And that happens from the drama and trauma of our birth, and then our immediate indoctrination into the matrix of belief. Things didn't have to happen that way. But people realized very early on that if they used fear, they could control other people. And so this whole matrix of belief was created and then readapted over time to assimilate every religion that attempted to gain a foothold on the true experience of reality. Every religion was co-opted by those who control, and humanity became more and more separate from the whole because this control became more and more refined and created polarities, good and evil, that kept people in fear so that they would not attempt to maintain unity with the whole, returning to the field of love that we are, which is our birthright, which we are sharing so that you can be in union again, experience the light, and the whole can change into that light, into living from that light, where there will be abundance. All of the ways that humanity is torturing itself will begin to be seen for what they are, and balance and equilibrium with the earth, with all the beings on the earth. And we can only point to what that will be because it's beyond imagination at this moment. But our job is to hold ourselves in the light no matter what, no matter how distracting, no matter how atrocious, no matter how anything that appears in front of us to try to distract us is the darkness trying to get our attention, trying to get us back into fear for a second so that it can take hold. So we release ourselves back into the light. We allow it to go out of our field of attention. We center ourselves. We're back in the light.
So should the attitude be, I surrender to the light?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You can say surrender. You can say, I am. I am that. And that allows it to show itself to us for what it really is. Because of course we can't anticipate what that is. And anything, any kind of words that we put on it to describe it are going to reduce it to something that it's not. Because we cannot contain it in our pattern recognition part. We can point to it in our emotional body with love, peace, joy, and gratitude, because those are the closest emotional experiences we have to that field, but they are not what the experience of that field is. It's beyond that. And so there we are with language.
Yeah.
So I am that.
Mm.
And
Yes,
that's
okay.
unlimited. It's completely unlimited. Because it's beyond any expectation we might have. And that's amazing. That's
amazing.
really amazing. That's really good news.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Thank you for the question. How may we serve further? We don't know what to talk about after that. Well, we sure are happy to be with you. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And it's really nice to see you. Oh, great.
Good morning, Becky.
Good morning, Drew.
So I have a question. I think it's related to this. So when we dissipate the fear in our chest or in our solar plexus, when we release that, is that energy transmuted, or how is it changed? Is it changed? Where does it go? And how is that related to when I feel love in that same place, or I replace that fear with love? Can you speak to that change of state? Is that in the mind, or energetically what occurs?
Okay, so the mind recognizes patterns. The emotions are felt in the heart. The transmutation center is actually in the belly. This is where, we know this from Chinese medicine, that in the cauldron, this is the image that they use, in the cauldron of the belly, nutrition, food that we take in, matter, is turned into energy by the body. And so that happens, in the whole digestive system, which is centered here. And then what happens energetically is that the garden star chakra, which is also very similar in Chinese medicine, the energy comes up from the garden star chakra, our commitment to the light. That comes up and it comes right to here. Then our commitment to heaven in the soul star chakra, which is where we communicate with our highest self, that energy comes down, meets in our belly button, and transmutes the darkness to light. So, and the way that begins to express itself is our emotions get lighter. Our emotions get lighter. Our tendency to be locked in the patterns of matrix of belief, because that energy is coming down to be processed, that releases its hold on our being. As we hold our center here, this has the pull down, And so it's not controlling everything. In matrix of belief, everything happens here. You know, if you're not completely present to external rewards in the matrix of belief, then you're not a serious person. This is how the matrix of belief tricks us, right? Because if you're not completely present, chasing the dollar or doing whatever it is you're expected to be doing by the external world, then you're not a serious person. You're somebody who's, you know, not mobilized for external reward. And that's felt by people around you. And we've all experienced judgment for having our center lower down. And you know, people try to shake us back to reality, which is make us get back into the rewards and punishment system, which is something outside of us. It really has nothing to do with us. And it doesn't mean that we can't function in that world. We understand it completely. And when we have our attention in a grounded place, we can respond to it much more effectively. Because we're not responding in terms of rewards and punishment, we're responding in terms of the highest best for the whole. And so we actually understand ourselves to be of benefit to every situation that we experience in front of us, because we are not looking for reward or punishment. We're not interested in that arena of participation. We're really actually looking for the leverage points that will connect whatever situation we're in to the highest best for everyone, for the whole. So we're always looking for that, and the only place we can look for that is from our belly. We can't look for that from our mind because it's not present there. Our mind recognizes the patterns, and so it can help give us the information to distinguish where that leverage point is. But what happens is when we are taking in all the information from our emotional response, from our pattern recognition, and into the center of our knowing in the gut, you know, gut feeling. There are ways in which we've always known this. That knowing rises up in us and the leverage point appears. Does that make sense? Now, when we release things that are transmuted, it's like the Buddhist practice, Vajrasattva. You know, the pranic plasma flows through us. Everything is released. You can think of it as going down and nourishing all the beings that are below. And just don't think about it any more than that. Understand that everything, every pattern of disharmony that is released inside us is of benefit to the whole. And it's sort of like flush, let it happen, let it go. It's done. And it becomes the fertilizer for more growth. Maybe for ourselves, maybe not, it doesn't matter. We don't even need to think about it. Does that make sense? How may we serve further?
We have a question. How does genuine being of service to humanity, or I'm sorry, I'll do that again. What does genuine being of service to humanity look like? You may have to repeat it.
So what does genuinely being of service to humanity look like? Well, it's different for every single person because every single person has unique gift or gifts to bring to this endeavor. And there is no human being who has no way to contribute. That doesn't exist. So regardless of any kind of disability or any kind of wherever you are on the bell curve of what's considered to be normal in any arena, that is completely irrelevant to the capacity to serve, because we all have been given some way to serve. And you know, the first time I really understood this in a deeper way was we're pulling on Rebecca's information here. As a resident doctor, I was caring for several Down syndrome patients at the same time. And what I experienced was their hearts are stuck open. They are pure love. And it's not just Down syndrome, it's often people with, you know, very, very destructive head injuries. Something happens and they just are pure love. And I understood when I experienced that, I understood that there is no life that I have ever encountered that doesn't have some contribution to make. And so it's very interesting to allow ourselves to appreciate the diversity of humanity from that perspective. And it kind of turns everything on its head, because very often the people who are bringing the most wonderful, beautiful, divine experience and anchoring it into the planetary experience of the whole, very often those people appear to be the most compromised people in existence by the matrix of belief, rewards and punishment, merit and demerit system. So as you begin to understand that life has a diversity way beyond all of that pattern recognition, rewards, punishment, when you experience that life itself has no boundaries like that, no judgment like that, you can step out of all of that in yourself. You know, being, just being in the field of I am that is the greatest service any human being can provide to humanity. This is not judgment. This is a statement of fact about what we are, what our birthright is, and where we're headed. And the magic and miracle all exists from contact with that field of I am that. And so it flips our judgment system completely on its head, and we can let go of all of it, because the highest practice we can do is to hold to the light. And we hold to the light where the earth and the heaven meet in us, which is our grounding center. And that is the place where we are, both heaven and earth, We are completely present. And we have access to I am that.
And please explain I am that in more depth, please.
So the question is, please explain I am that. I am that is the quantum field beyond which language can reach. There is no limitation in I am that, so there is no word or description or list of words that we could make into sentences that would begin to encompass what I am that is. I am that is the source of everything. It's the one source that everything comes from. And it is not dead, although it is very, very still. But in that stillness, there is life. There is potency. Potency is the only word that comes to mind that can begin to, and yet it's it's like holding an atomic bomb kind of potency. It's not something that we can remove ourselves from and describe, but the potency is more powerful than anything you can imagine, more powerful than imagination. And within that potency, there is stillness, there is quiet, but that quiet is so full that it's beyond words. But the real place to experience it in yourself is in the belly. And this is why so many spiritual practices instruct, breathe into the belly. And we all know our lungs only go a certain way. They don't go that far, but our energetic being certainly goes that far. And when we are centered in that place, allowing the earth energy to rise up, the heaven energy to come down, and of course those are such limited concepts, because of course heaven is in earth and earth is in heaven. There's no separation really. It's just beyond our language. But you can experience that quantum energy in the center of yourself, which is below your belly button. By breathing in there, holding your attention between the breaths, you can experience that stillness that is totally, totally potent. And it's not that you can't experience it in every other part of your body too. It's just that from your center, you're really able to appreciate a much bigger field. Because you're not distracted by all this, endless thought, and you're not reacting with all these endless emotions. You are in the center of knowing. And who would have thought that knowing would be in your belly? And yet that's exactly what those gut feelings are. They are knowing. Does that make sense? Startling, isn't it? How may we serve further? Yes.
Question. Can we say Ho'oponopono to the things we see and hear which are hurtful and frightening?
Absolutely. So the question is this: can we say Ho'oponopono to the things that we see and hear that are disturbing and frightening? Of course we can. Ho'oponopono works. So something comes in, we're sitting in our light, we're just present, and something comes in that's really disturbing. And we could pick, 15 things off a list right this second, any one of which would disturb any of us. So the first thing to do is recognize that you're disturbed in some way. So you take your attention inside and you feel for your own hurt, because whatever magnetizes your attention outside is something within you that has yet to be resolved into harmony. We're just checking through that statement. Let's say it's something like human trafficking that we hear about. It's very disturbing that this is going on. But we understand that if we put our energy and our attention there in reaction to that, that we're actually playing into the longevity of that experience. But at the same time, we have a reaction, because the idea of being a slave, and the idea of being a sex slave, even more than that, is not just frightening, it's just the idea of a life used in that way is very, very disturbing. So what we do is we say Ho'oponopono into whatever part of our being is experiencing that disturbance. Might be here in between our ears. We say Ho'oponopono to our highest self. Our highest self is our access point to personal divinity, and personal divinity is our access point to the whole. So the way we participate the best is if we are secure in our personal divinity, then we can participate in the whole. So we take that disturbing experience, we allow ourselves to feel the disturbance. We try to get it into our feeling being because this is the depth of where our unresolved experiences usually lie. And so we begin to say Ho'oponopono, not to the slavery, but Ho'oponopono to our highest self. Because what's happened in our being magnetized to the horror of this atrocity of human behavior, we've been distracted from the light that we are to some disturbance that we experience. So we want to reintegrate ourselves into the light. So we say to the light itself, which is our highest self, I'm sorry, I lost connection there for a minute. I saw something very destructive. Please forgive me for losing that connection, because I know that holding myself into the light will heal everything and everyone. Please forgive me for losing my attention outside in something that was trying to polarize my energy into the darkness, into participation in the polarity that says that light and dark are opposites and in conflict. Thank you. I am so grateful to have access to the light. I love you. Connection reestablished. Does this make sense? And it doesn't matter if you have to sit there and say it for 5 minutes or 5 years. It truly doesn't matter. The only thing that's important is that you establish yourself in that light, knowing that that light is the source of everything, and that if we want to magnetize that source of everything to being the source of human behavior, then we have to be that, and we have to celebrate that every single moment until it's the whole. It's already the whole fundamentally, but until humanity lives from that awareness of the whole, and many of us have experienced living in environments that cultivate that and have a richness and depth of spirit, we'll say, awareness of spirit that has permeated many of the day-to-day experiences that we have. Many of us have been fortunate enough to live in situations like that. This is taking that to a whole deeper level in ourselves, so that we are that. We are the source of that. We are the light, the love, the peace, the joy, the gratitude that we have been waiting to be demonstrated in front of us. It's not going to happen that way. It's going to happen because we are that, we are celebrating that, we are bringing ourselves to that in every possible moment, and we celebrate the coming of the light, which is our own becoming the light and participating in the whole. Does this make sense? Good. We love your smiles. Oh my God, this is so great. So thank you so much. This is wonderful. So it's a quiet day. We have to confess that Rebecca's as stunned as all of you are with what we've said today. So we welcome your questions because we wish to articulate this as clearly as we can in ways that you can really get it. So please, anything that doesn't resonate with your understanding, please ask us. We really love your participation and we want to clarify as much as we possibly can. We know this is astonishing information. But it doesn't get better than this. Because this is it. This is really it. This is all secret teachings. It's not a secret. We're light. So we want you to know we've been encouraging Rebecca to identify herself, not as a spiritual teacher, but as a spiritual counselor. Because we feel that spiritual teacher and spiritual student creates a hierarchy. And we don't like that hierarchy. We don't want to participate in any hierarchy. We want flow. We want you to know. And we're happy to share everything that we have so that you not only know, but you experience and you feel and you take ownership of and become. This is not about control. This is not about less than. This is about true empowerment with your own source. Now, we all come from the exact same source, but that doesn't mean that the way Rebecca experiences it is the same way that anybody else experiences it. So we welcome your questions and your consideration as you feel into your own experience and try to take these practices into your life. We welcome your feedback so that we can say this in ways that allow everyone to participate in the depth of this joyful experience of coming to know yourself as light. No one is excluded for any reason. Everyone is included, and everyone has a very unique aspect to bring to the whole. And all parts of the whole are required for the whole to be whole. Wholeness is inclusive, not exclusive. And these words, inclusive and not exclusive, are words that we apply to every part of what we are bringing you. No one is excluded. Everyone is included, and everyone is part of this enlightenment, this bringing into the light that we are all doing. We are bringing ourselves into the light and becoming the light, participating in the light, being the light, celebrating the light. This is the most important message we're bringing today. Celebrate the light. It's our rain dance. So the rain will come. We celebrate the light so the light dawns from the inside out. True abundance is experienced from the inside out. And this is how law of attraction works. We have kind of shied away from talking about it because it's been a misunderstood, attempted to explain, misunderstood teaching from a lot of places, and some people have really gotten it. But the thing about the law of attraction is that you celebrate the arrival of whatever it is you are waiting for before it happens. You live in the confidence that it has already happened, and then it manifests. We're not really about manifestation, but we're not really not about manifestation either. It's a very important part of the understanding of how light expresses itself. Manifestation comes when we live with the pure awareness that we have everything we need, and whatever we need appears. It's that simple. We just live as though we have everything we need, and everything we need appears. Yes.
So how do we stay in the light and still participate in helping others that are less fortunate? At the same time, helping in the physical world, but not losing connection.
Well, the first rule is do no harm. That's the first rule. So you look at your participation, and these ideas of right and wrong and polarity are because everything that we think is right contains some of the wrong, and everything we think is wrong contains some of the right. It's very easy to get polarized and have our attention and our emotions and our minds get wrapped up in our side of the cause. And it is exactly this polarity and the intensity of the polarity that is well, this idea that, you know, if I'm right, you have to be wrong. If I'm right, you have to be wrong. And so this polarity is just doing this. And so where we need to be is in the center, where there is light. And so we hold to the light. And so in holding to the light, we have to step back, and our participation has more to do with cultivating light in ourselves and our environment than it does with exactly helping others. Helping others is, we're not saying don't participate. This is not right. Let's back up a little bit. Smiling at someone who is in darkness is an act of love. expressing our light is an act of love. Holding to our light as we support others through their darkness in whatever way we can. And that assumes that we're in a balanced state in ourselves, looking for the leverage points in our environment, in whatever situation has attracted itself to us, we have attracted to us. We look for the leverage point to serve the light. So it's not that we are giving to somebody who's less than. It's that we are sharing our information, our field of awareness, and our light so that they can merge with their light and serve from their highest in their own unique way. So how we figure out our best way to serve is from our alignment. And from our alignment emerges our unique talents that can serve the whole as the whole is coming to its own wholeness. So it doesn't matter if you're a healer, you heal whatever you can in whoever comes into your environment. If you are, doesn't matter what you are, you bring that into your environment as your contribution to the whole. And because you are educated about how you do whatever it is you do, if you're a cook, you create the best meal you possibly can within the budget that you have that brings every person's palate to ecstasy. You have done your job. You know, if you're a teacher, you hold to the light, you teach your students that they are free. Everything else that you teach them will naturally come through because you know how to do that. But if you teach them from your own light, they will get the light. That's what students want. That's what every human being is looking for. Every single human being is looking for how they bridge their sense of separation from the whole to get to love, peace, joy, gratitude, and that which is beyond. Even if they've never thought that thought, if you ask somebody long enough and deep enough what they really want, you will get to that sense of separation. And so bringing yourself into wholeness will determine how you can serve the best. Now, again, we don't wait for the wholeness before we serve. That's not celebrating what we really are. We do the best we can. We ground ourselves every morning in our meditation in the light, however we experience it. We allow it to grow inside us every single day. We cultivate it. We feel into our garden star chakra. We commit to our alignment with our divinity every single day. And we do better and worse. There's no judgment in this. This is learning. Learning is called doing better and worse. As we celebrate our commitment to wholeness and unity, our own divinity begins to express itself. Our uniqueness informs of us of where our talents are. We begin to flow in that way, in and out. We make mistakes. We call it failure. We do not punish ourselves. We understand that failure is a path to learning to success. And then we have a success, and then we have another failure because we're now in a different field than we were when we first started. So these patterns of learning how to express our uniqueness in the most effective way to serve the whole is going to be different for every single person because we are all unique. And so the only formula we can give you is to commit yourself to union in the Garden Star Chakra. Commit yourself to union in the Soul Star Chakra. Feel that flow inside yourself, that circulation that leads you to the grounding in the knowing of the all that is. And your uniqueness will begin to express itself. Your way to serve the whole and the highest will become completely obvious. And so in serving the whole, your purpose is to bring every person that you can the greatest experience that they can have in whatever it is you have to offer that makes them experience more of themselves as in union, as potentially in union, as much as you can share with them and bring them to an understanding of who and what they are. That's your purpose. And whatever arena life chooses or has chosen for you, that's where you flow. And you do it to the absolute best of your ability. And there's nothing else to be said. You are participating. We hope that answers your question. How may we serve further? Oh, it's 25 after already. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a meditation, and it's going to go over time. If you can stay, you're welcome to. If you can't, we will take this moment to thank you for being here because we love every single interaction we have. We love every frequency that has come onto this call. It fills us with joy to communicate with you. We're so grateful. Please come back. Please bring all your friends and family. We love this. So let's meditate. So take your attention inside. Into the energy center below the belly button. Celebrate your awareness here. Whatever that feeling is, breathe into this space. Allow yourself to feel into the space between the breaths. And you can say into that space, I am that. When you're ready, drop your attention to the tailbone, the tip of the tailbone. Breathe into that space in between the breaths. I am that. Drop your attention to the Garden Star Chakra. Recommit yourself to union with your divinity, the all of the all that is. Feel into that space under the earth. I am that. When you're ready, bring your attention to your heart in the center of your chest. Feel into the space between the breaths. I am that. Gently bring your attention to the throat center. Breathe into the space between the breaths. I am that. Allow your attention to rise up to the center of your head, behind and between your eyebrows. Breathe into the space between the breaths. I am that. Take your attention just above your head to the 1,000-petaled lotus. Celebrate these 1,000 points of light. I am that. Take your attention to the soul star chakra at the top of your aura. I am that. Now begin to circulate your attention. The energy follows attention. From the top of your aura to the garden star chakra under the earth and back. All the while dropping your attention between the breaths. I am that. Go at your own pace for a few minutes. As you're ready, you can come out of this meditation. There's no hurry. We're so grateful for your participation. We bow to your efforts